Back to work for Utah State here. So we start the fourth quarter. Mike Cousins and former Auburn standout Cole Kubelik, glad to have you along. A 37-21 edge for Utah State, which is yet to punt tonight. The speedy Myers goes towards the edge for 5. Interesting for Myers as well. Coming into this year, figured he'd be behind Chucky Keaton, who is hopefully coming back soon for Utah State fans. 4 to 6 weeks. This is week number 4 after his tweaked right knee. So Myers went to go play wide receiver during spring ball. And then the last spring practice decided to come back and play quarterback. But as Josh Heupel, their offensive coordinator, told us, missed out on a lot. Here's Devontae Mays once again. That's his 19th carry of the night.
A really nice block there on that play from tight end number 83, Wyatt Houston. Lined up on the left side of that offensive line, just closing off the defensive end to that side, allowing for a nice pickup.
Going to the left side. Mays again, right at the first down marker where he stopped. And Cole, you'd think it would be a really tiring night for this Wyoming defense, but through 3 quarters, Wyoming has held the ball for 5 more minutes than Utah State, so the defense has not been on the field all that long.
And as we saw in that last play, Mike, once Utah State seems to get into the red zone, they go tempo, they go up pace, they like to hurry things up a little bit.
Mays continues his great night with a first down run.
This Utah State offensive line behind Coach Mark Weber, excellent job tonight, really opened up some nice holes. They've gotten more physical as the game progressed and just haven't seen the adjustments from the Wyoming defense to come up and counterpunch the success with the run game.
Myers cuts back and then brought down by Carl Granderson, the freshman defensive end from Sacramento, California.
Andrew Wingard had a beat on this play, 28 safety for Wyoming. He comes flying up to the line of scrimmage. The pretty good idea that Kent Myers is going to keep this football. He's not going to allow the zone read quarterback keeps to have any more success.
Second and 10 at the 18. Myers straight drop back. And the pass is incomplete, intended for Tyler Fox, and swatted away by Antonio Hull, the freshman.
Hull's 4th pass breakup of the season. I keep calling these freshmen for Wyoming such a young football team for Craig Bohl.
Especially in that secondary, Cole, where they've got 3 of the 4 starters are freshmen, and the other, Robert Priester, is a sophomore.
Well, we've seen all of them make plays tonight. Good football players, solid athletes, just inexperience is a very difficult thing to deal with.
10th play of the drive. And a heave to the end zone. Caught. Touchdown, Utah State. Brandon Swindle, his first touchdown catch of the year.
Pretty cool story here, Brandon Swindle. He actually led the team in touchdown receptions in 2013. Tore his Achilles on the first play of the home opener in 2014. And now back, as you can see, making plays for this Utah State Aggie offense.
The guy who has followed Matt Wells here to Logan, committed to New Mexico when Wells was the wide receiver coach there. It's proved to be a good decision for him, especially tonight, where his touchdown helps make it 43-21. And the extra point from Brock Warren makes it 44-21. So Swindle, the senior from Oklahoma City, with the score. Aggies running away with it. Celebrating its 11th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds. Good night for that. 44-21 lead for Utah State. Capping off their drive, Brandon Swindle bringing in a touchdown. So the AP Top 10, Cole, we'll take a look at that with the College Football Playoff having its second year. Those rankings set to come out this coming Tuesday. How do you think it might differ from what we see here in the top 10 when those new rankings come out?
I don't think it'll be too different. I'm not sure that Ohio State will actually be number one. I think maybe Clemson or LSU ends up being number one. I think the committee will value resume. I think LSU and Clemson have the most valuable wins to this point. Now, a lot depends on what happens this weekend also. But I would expect number 3 or 4 on this list most likely to be number 1 with the College Football Playoff Committee.
First down and 10 here for Wyoming. Brian Hill's workload continues to grow as he gets his 24th carry of the night, 9 shy of his career high. That was a point of contention, I think, Cole, at the beginning of the season with the Buckeyes was, well, they're going to keep winning because their schedule is not tough enough. Of course, nothing you can do to dock them there as long as they keep winning and in convincing fashion. But strength of schedule, of course, we know is important for the playoff committee.
Well, Ohio State hasn't played a team that is currently ranked in the AP Top 25. So it's a fair argument to say that what they've done it and who they've done it against is not as impressive as some other football teams.
On the ride, Smith elects to keep it himself. Utah State sniffs it out. And I know that's a number you were big on, Cole, looking up, is the number of ranked opponents left for these top 10 teams.
Hey, you look at who has the toughest task remaining. Baylor, Notre Dame, TCU still have 3 ranked opponents remaining. Now, these are opponents that are currently ranked in the AP. See, Iowa, no ranked opponents remaining. A great chance for the Hawkeyes to run the table, get into the Big Ten championship game, and potentially have a chance to fight and play their way into the college football playoff.
Third down, and we've got a flag coming in before the snap.
Ball start, offense, number 64. 5-yard penalty, third down.
That's on the center, Charlie Renfree.
I'm not really sure how that's even possible. Well, you get a little hiccup, and sometimes you miscommunicate with your quarterback, and the snap count's not what you thought. And sometimes maybe you're trying to just draw the defensive line off sides a little bit there, trying to get a little edge.
So it's 3rd and 12.
It's that wild defense, nobody with their hand on the ground.
Little Jolie Dunn look, and the pass across the middle to Jacob Hollister is incomplete.
Look at you learning about your old school SEC defensive coordinators.
I hang out with a former Auburn center long enough, and it's bound to rub off on me. 4th and 12.
Jolie was doing work when you were in diapers.
There's already been 1 blocked punt tonight. It was a crucial play at the end of the first half. Utah State, Brock Carmen blocked it, and it turned into a touchdown. Wood gets it away. Andrew Rodriguez is there to haul it in. So 10:41 left in the 4th quarter. Utah State cruising.
ESPN College Football is presented by Jimmy John's Freaky Fast Sandwiches.
Mike Cousins, Cole Kubelik back with you here at Maverick Stadium in Logan, Utah. A 44-21 lead for Utah State, where it's been a good night to be a running back. Brian Hill for Wyoming, 24 carries, 176 yards and a score. Devontae Mays for Utah State, 21 carries, $148 and 2 touchdowns. 7 yards a carry, better than 7 yards a carry for both running backs. And it's another carry for Devontae Mays. Trucking his way inside the 40-yard line. Utah State has not taken its foot off the accelerator tonight.
Mike, we've seen Robert Priester come up from the cornerback spot and make a few plays. If you watch the left side of your screen, he's too far upfield, and that allows the cutback from Devontae Mays. No corner out to help with contain. He's able to get to the backside sideline, go north-south, and pick up first down yardage. Nice cutback from Devontae Mays.
A little bit of trickery here. Kennedy Williams wrapped up, but he's got a first down. You know, something that Matt Wells was talking to us about yesterday. He said, we've used more packages than I ever have as a head coach this year, partly because of injury, but partly just to stay fresh on tape for our opponents.
Just a reverse here, trying to keep the defense honest. Look at the speed from DJ May. That's Sam Nickelback. Unreal.
Now Myers goes over the top. Wyatt Houston's got his second touchdown catch of the night. This one from 25 yards out.
Wyatt Houston has tripled his touchdown output on the season tonight. Got a heck of a game. Another run-pass option from Kent Myers. He has been magnificent in the run-pass option game. So effective. It's precision work from the junior quarterback.
Brock Warren's extra point is good. Some high-scoring affairs this year for Utah State. 56 versus Fresno. 52 in a win against Boise. And now 51 with still 9:52 to play. Well, we're closing in on start time for College Game Day, built by the Home Depot, Independence Mall in Philadelphia. Number 9 Notre Dame, number 21 Temple. It gets going 9 Eastern on ESPN tomorrow. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN. Last week at James Madison, the alma mater of producer Lee Fitting. We saw Coach Corso in colonial garb last week. Could we see him as Ben Franklin in Philadelphia this week, you think?
Are they going to go Halloween costumes for the entire show? Do you know?
I don't. You know I'm out of the loop on things. May with the return from the goal line across the 20 and out to the 22. First down for Wyoming as they trail by 30 with 9:45 left here in the fourth quarter. The big story this year for Temple, not only that they are undefeated, but the great job done by their defensive coordinator, Phil Snow. This defense, 7 seniors, 3 redshirt juniors, and they give some pretty interesting looks for the opposition.
Well, they get big play, too. Linebacker Tyler Matekovich, 4 sacks, 4 picks on the year, all over the field. We mentioned it a little bit earlier, giving up less than 92 rush yards per game. Going against C.J. Prosise and that powerful Notre Dame offensive line. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I'm excited about that one. Quentin Nelson, left guard for Notre Dame, one of my favorite players in college football to watch.
Hill gets the look on first down and goes ahead for about 6. You got Temple, a perfect record. Joining them in the group of 5, you have Memphis as well as Toledo. You got head coaches there that are probably next year are going to be looking for some big-time coaching jobs as well. Cole, who's your front runner here right now to be that group of 5 into the New Year's Six Bowl?
Well, it's easy to say Toledo based on what they have ahead. Getting good quarterback play from Philip Ely, but I really like what Memphis and Justin Fuente are doing. Big-time quarterback play for the Tigers there also. I'll have to go Memphis.
Smith from the pocket sings it for Nico Evans, the redshirt freshman from Los Angeles, who makes the catch. And you know right now that Memphis has got to be rooting for Ole Miss all the way, right? That's
absolutely
to highlight their biggest win of the year.
They still have Houston ahead, and they still have Temple ahead, so it's not on cruise control the rest of the way for the Memphis Tigers.
Hill comes off the left side and across midfield. First down for Brian Hill. Cole, you know, they've used that fake jet sweep action all night. We talked about it earlier in the game after this gain of 18. Usually you use that to set up something later in the game, but they've just gone hill, hill, hill.
Well, I think, too, what it does, Mike, it freezes your linebackers. And we've seen these Utah State linebackers false step a few times, and I think a lot of that has been due to that jet sweep, either handing it, because they've done that a few times, Wyoming has, or the fakes, which opens up those backside runs, and they have success with just on the last play.
Smith with a wobbling ball down the middle of the field, incomplete, intended for Hollister, the tight end. Well, Brian Hill was out on that play, but he's having himself a heck of a night. 26 carries for 201 yards. Already tonight, surpassing a host of other players to become the second leading rusher in FBS, only behind LSU's Leonard Fournette. Fourth career 200-yard game for Hill. Smith on the run. His high throw is over Nico Evans, one of their running backs. Now 3rd and 10 as the clock stops. 8:06 left here in the ballgame.
This is where a young quarterback doesn't quite understand the speed of the game yet. Nick Smith comes out of that play action, waiting for the route to develop, sees a defender 3 yards away, and feels like he has time to stay in the pocket, let the route close in on the sideline, and then deliver the football. Defenders close in too quickly, and it forces the errant pass.
Last week was just his second game, so his 3rd career game and his 1st career start. In for the redshirt senior Cameron Kaufman. Pressure comes from the backside, and his throw is knocked down. Jalen Davis on the cornerback blitz gets pressure and forces Smith into an incompletion.
Well, he's their boundary corner, and they love to bring him on these blitzes when they are to the near side. He has 3 tackles for loss and a sack already on the season. 2 interceptions. He's tied for the team lead there. Very active, very physical player, but Jalen Davis is that corner that this defense, Kevin Clune and company, love to bring on blitzes because he likes to attack the pocket.
Rodriguez makes the catch at his own 7, makes Wingard miss. He's got room across the 15, now out to the 25-yard line, and finally wrapped up by C.J. Jennings.
Turn that into a real positive. You don't often see guys field a punt inside the 10. Nice return.
Devontae Mays, the biggest night perhaps for Utah State. 22 carries, $176, and 2 scores for the JUCO transfer.
This young man has been physical in between the tackles, but shown a really nice ability to stay square and bounce runs outside. He's spun through arm tackles. He's bowled over defenders at the goal line. I have been impressed with Devontae Mays in this Utah State backfield. I think they have found a feature back, Mike, that they are going to ride the rest of the season.
But certainly not the rest of the night, as Damian Hobbs, the backup quarterback, is into the game, presumably for the rest of the evening. And his 4th throw of the year is complete to Zach Van Leeuwen, the freshman from Provo, Utah.
Looks like Andrew Wingard a little shaken up after the play. Big collision there on that slant route.
A guy that they really like, their team's tackles leader. His dad played at Nebraska when Craig Baldwin was an assistant there.
You see contact again just right to the midsection of Zach Van Leeuwen, but Andrew Wingard, that right shoulder directly into the body of the tight end.
Injured Wyoming safety Andrew Wingard back to his feet on the sidelines, back off the field. And Saturday afternoon college football, we've got lots of great matchups as we go through the final 7.5 minutes of this ball game to talk about. Tony Lindsay, the sophomore from Long Beach, California, over to the right side. There's 4 carries for him coming into this game, and you understand that. Behind Devontae Mays on the 1, a great 1-2 punch there. And when we talked to Matt Wells yesterday, their run game was so spread out last year and even slowed down to the point where they had Nick Vigil, the linebacker and former high school running back, taking carries. Lindsey again goes through the middle with good space, down to the 35-yard line. And Cole, he said really the only time he's been here, they've had one true feature back, was Kerwin Williams, who's gone on to the NFL, now with the Arizona practice squad.
Well, it's not just Vigil. To hear him tell us yesterday, too, 6 of their front 7 guys have played extended snaps on both sides of the football, on that defensive front 7. They've lined up at fullback, tight end, running back. He's not afraid to use talent on both sides of the football.
Hobbs under pressure, throws one-on-one down the sideline. Oh, my goodness, what a catch. Jalen Costin Green brings it in under pressure. 34-yard touchdown.
Eddie Yarbrough, 55, delivers the pressure again. He's had a lot of success in that Utah State backfield, but did not get there quickly enough.
New highest score of the year for Utah State. The extra point, they're at 58.
Pressure first from Yarbrough, 55. He'll come in and lay the hit on Hobbs. We'll take a look at this grab. In the corner of the end zone, Jalen Costin Green. Aggies rolling tonight in Logan.
And they have spread the ball out to no end. It's now 8 different receivers that have caught a pass, either from Myers or Hobbs. First touchdown pass for Hobbs. May, the linebacker, to the 30. Yeah, not much more than that. Saturday afternoon college football presented by Kay Jewelers and 5 Hour Energy. It's number 3 Clemson, undefeated at 7-0 against NC State. And the Maryland Terps are in Iowa City to take on Kirk Ferentz's number 10 ranked unbeaten Hawkeyes, 7-0 for the first time since 2009. Both games available nationally on ABC or ESPN2 at 3:30 Eastern.
I think this is a newer Clemson team, a little bit more physical, 215 yards rushing per game. Offensive line's playing good ball.
Smith going to the edge. And he's got Jake Malhart, their leading receiver, with Tanner Gentry out. And it's a nice streak on the line there for Clemson. 35 straight wins against unranked opponents going back to 2011. And who else was the one that they lost to but NC State, who they play tomorrow?
There's not a lot of statistics to back it up. But doesn't it just feel like there's a big upset in Raleigh every year? It just feels like somebody has their season go down the drain in that stadium once a season.
Smith under pressure, incomplete to the edge. And Cole, we talked about the college football playoff rankings coming out Tuesday. You've already got your top 4 set up, ready to go, including Clemson.
I like the Clemson Tigers, but I have them at number 2. LSU, the only team in the country that has 2 wins over 2 teams that are currently ranked in the AP Top 25 right now. Clemson has a couple of nice wins of their own. I like Ohio State 3rd. The switch at quarterback, I think, keeps them there. And Baylor has just been lights out. I understand Seth Russell's not there anymore. We're going to switch quarterbacks. They have a bye week to deal with it. Corey Coleman, still the best wide receiver in the country. Shock Linwood, still one of the best running backs in the country. And by the way, Baylor number 2 in the country in rushing yards per game. Second best team in the nation. This is a physical Baylor football team. Offensive line gets after you. Defensive line, big, physical, nasty. This is not your mom's Baylor team.
Yeah, but do you know what they're 107th in? Strength of schedule.
It's not their fault who they have to play.
But they can decide who they play out of conference.
But I'll tell you what I do like about Baylor, and I'm not going to sit here and debate that they've played a meaningful schedule. They haven't. I understand that. But what have they done with unqualified opponents? They've handled them.
Sure, pounded them into the ground.
They've done exactly what they should have done with their opponents that are not on their level. So I respect
61
Baylor.
points a game this year.
I respect Baylor and Art Briles for that. I think Clemson and Baylor are two teams. They're a little bit different than what we expect them to be and what they have been in the past. They have gotten past being a soft team, being a team that's not physical, can't run the ball, and can't win one-on-ones in the trenches. Both of those teams are very capable of doing that now, but they still have the electrifying players like Artavis Scott and Corey Coleman on the outside.
Flag
Ball
comes
start.
in.
Offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's KJ Uluwave, the backup right guard for Utah State. Do you think that you could make a case, though, and I know you might not want to, but for Alabama in over Baylor, considering what they have to do in conference play?
We could absolutely make a case, and the best case that I would make for Alabama would be the eyeball test. Now, I look at the Crimson Tide, and I think that defense, especially the front seven, and their punter, J.K. Scott, are going to keep them in every football game that they play.
That's an interesting
Coker,
take. I don't know how many
Coker's
people predict a punter is keeping a team in the
He's
game.
that good. He is that good, and he flips the field. And when you have a defense that can mask the run with 4 or 5 defenders in the box, and you put them in good spots to not have to be able to play high-risk football and bring extra guys into the box, you're going to win. And Jay Coker's been a bit of a roller coaster, but Derrick Henry's a stud. And I think Derrick Henry I think he's carrying that offense right now because the offensive line's not playing as well as they have in years past.
We give it forward for Hervey as Utah State looks to run the clock here, 4:30 to play. Now, FPI, ESPN's forward-looking measure of how a team is predicted to do, predicts a win for Alabama in every game going forward. Closest game there, of course, being LSU.
See, and I don't think anyone's giving LSU's defense the credit that they deserve. With Tayshawn Bowers at defensive end, Arden Key comes in there, and he can penetrate and disrupt and cause some problems. Kendall Beckwith, one of the best linebackers in the country. I don't think anyone talks about the LSU defense the way that they deserve to be discussed, as a dominant group.
Well, they have only their own teammate to blame, Leonard Fournette, who's the Heisman leader right now.
Jalen Mills at safety comes down and plays like a linebacker, and he's a guy that's just being back inserted to the lineup. He was pre-All-American, All-SEC coming into the season. Jamal Adams is a safety for that team that I love, hard-hitting, physical kid. I just think that the LSU defense in SEC action, now granted it's one less game this year, they actually allow less rushing yards per game than the Alabama defense does in conference play.
Scary to think about. LSU still has Bama coming up on the 7th, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. Well, what do you know? A punt from Utah State. Their first of the night as they lead 58-21. 3:04 left in this one as the Aggies are on their way to 5-3. Thinking about tomorrow, Saturday college football action. We've got game day in Philadelphia for Notre Dame and Temple. How about Stanford and Washington State? We really have not gotten into Christian McCaffrey yet, just how good of a season he's having.
Unbelievable. 43 points per game over their last 6 games, 7.2 yards per play over their last 6 games since they slipped up and lost that opener to Northwestern.
I mean, how much of an anomaly does that seem now to lose to Northwestern and only score 6 points?
McCaffrey is already 300 yards ahead than the leading rusher for Stanford a season ago. That offense is on all cylinders. Kevin Hogan a veteran QB under center, and they do most of their work under center. They'll go with the big packages, 2 and 3 tight ends, put the D lineman back at fullback. That's one of my favorite offenses in the country to watch operate.
That first down catch made by James Price, the freshman out of Washington. And a run to the edge for Tapscott, or rather Overstreet, beg your pardon, and he keeps his balance out to the 50-yard line. So Christian McCaffrey, 5 straight 100-yard rushing games and leads the nation in all-purpose yards, 260 a game.
He's amazing. He's a do-it-all player. Can return kicks, catch the ball out of the backfield. So elusive. There you see him do a little wildcat, taking snaps in the backfield. Has a chance to surpass Barry Sanders' all-purpose yardage record, which is a little odd because Barry Sanders' son is his backup there at Stanford.
Smith keeps it himself toward the edge. And that's Stanford, Washington State, 10:30 Eastern time on ESPN.
Why do you keep blowing past your Syracuse Orange against Florida State? Every time we put the graphic up and we talk about tomorrow's slate, you just blow right past your Orange and the Seminoles.
You know, I figure there are some games that might be closer.
Dalvin Cook's out. He's got like 85% of Florida State's offense. He's not playing.
You know, Florida State's going to be playing with a vengeance after their 28-game ACC win streak was snapped last week against Georgia Tech. That pass looked like it hit the ground. Going over the middle for Parker, but they say he's got the catch.
It was a nice grab by Parker. Good throw by Nick Smith as well. Shooting a dart over the middle.
So the big game for Florida State really coming up is Clemson next week.
We'll take another look, see if able to get up under this football. Defender in the way, going to be difficult to tell from that angle.
And one thing to note here, too, on replays is that the replay booth does take a look at plays like that, but if it doesn't affect the competitive balance of the game, they will not stop the game to review a play like that. And with our lopsided score here in a minute to play, you understand why play goes on.
Pressure there from number 19, Ian Tongiai.
One of those two-way guys.
Yeah, a big-time two-way guy. He's been utilized a lot at H-back and tight end this season. Doesn't have any catches, but he blocks a lot. And speaking to Kevin Clune yesterday, the defensive coordinator, about asked him how he felt about it. And he said, I tell you this, they're not going to get him. Not going to get him full time. And Coach Matt Wells telling us he's a young man that could go 20 and 20, maybe 20 and 30 snaps on each side of the football.
Going end zone, there's a flag on the play. Malhart was mauled as he went down the sideline by B.J. Hayes. That's quite a size mismatch there. 6'6" versus 5'9".
Pass interference. Defense number 22. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Well, coming up after this one wraps up, we'll have baseball tonight presented by Chevrolet. Carl Ravitch, Tim Kirchin, Kurt Schilling, and Jessica Mendoza. An electric atmosphere tonight at Citi Field. Mets are winners 9-3 to make it a 2-1 advantage now for Kansas City in the World Series. Smith looking for a block ahead inside the 10-yard line. How about that? You see what they did at Citi Field tonight for the game? They added extra seating, temporary seating kind of on the field, and then put a little bit of plexiglass up in front of it.
Give it that hockey feel.
I guess so. Cold enough probably in Flushing, Queens. Right on the bay there. Now to 30 seconds left in this one. Smith looking for the fade route back in the end zone. And that is a touchdown. Jake Malhart makes the catch, utilizing his height at 6'6" for his second grab in the end zone tonight.
7th touchdown on the season for Malhart. And I like the throw from Nick Smith. Kind of a back shoulder, not really a fade here because he's throwing it on the line, but he understands it's the coverage that they want. You think about how many reps could Nick Smith and Malhart could have had in practice? Not very many, but to sort of have that nonverbal communication there, understanding of where the football needs to be. It's a nice play.
Staff told us that Smith in practice was getting about 33% of the reps as the backup QB. Extra point. No good. So Utah State with a win today. Looking good. They'll be 5-3, 4-1 in Mountain West play. And then after this, it's New Mexico, Air Force, Nevada, and BYU. Air Force at 4-3. Never an easy team to prepare for with Troy Calhoun's triple option.
I think that's what sticks out there is you get sort of an air raid look with New Mexico. Then you go to that triple option. Then you have to go to that pistol option with Nevada, and then back and play BYU. A little bit more of a pro-style offense. They'll still do some pistol and zone read, but that really is what sticks out to me. Other than the next two games being on the road for this Utah State Aggie football team, contrasting styles, different styles that they're going to have to face and prepare for week in and week out.
So 16 seconds left as Utah State keeps on winning at home. Last loss more than 2 years ago against Boise State here at what was then Romney Stadium and now Maverick Stadium. Williams from the goal line jets his way to the 24. So Cole here as we go into the waning moments of this game. Your takeaways on both sides.
Brian Hill is a stud. Just an absolute baller at running back. He's going to have a chance to get single season records from running back Ryan Christopherson, who did it in 94, 1,455 rush yards and 121 per game. He's got a shot at both of those, but they just have to build this offense around a young quarterback. Nick Smith just doesn't understand how to get him in and out of different plays and different looks. And for Utah State, I think they found their back. I don't think there's any secret now that Devontae Mays will be your go-to back. You ride him the rest of this season. Kent Myers continues to develop, and Chucky Keaton's dressed out tonight. He's on the field. He's a guy that has 5 single-season records, 2 career records, all-time school records. And he's a guy that could get back into the mix at quarterback for this team down the stretch.
They could see him back at New Mexico or Air Force. So our final score is 58-27 in favor of Utah State. For Cole Kubelik, our entire ESPN crew, I'm Mike Cousins. Coming up next here on ESPN2, Baseball Tonight, presented by Chevrolet. And with that, we say so long, good night from the Beehive State.